So good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us in this pay-as-you-throw workshop. I appreciate you all joining us. I'm gonna just ask everyone to go ahead and mute yourselves while I do the presentation, and I'll be taking questions after the presentation is over. Just try to get through all the slides first. So it should take 20 minutes or so, maybe 25 minutes.
For trying to influence his wife, who is harmony. Yeah, no.
And it looks like we don't have anybody else in the waiting room, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So good evening. My name is Todd Kep. I am what's called a Municipal Assistance Coordinator through Mass DEP. I have 31 municipalities in the South Shore, so south of Boston, basically down to Plymouth and over to Route 24, which I look out for and help in the terms of technical assistance projects and grants through Mass DEP. It's a big job. It's fun. Every day is a new adventure. Actually, every hour is a new adventure. And this is just one of those fun things that I get to work on. So what we're going to look at tonight is, should Plympton look at going pay-as-you-throw? So I'm going to do kind of a basic outline of the program itself. Your current program, which is you have a very high amount of trash being disposed of per household. So within the town of Plympton, you're averaging about 1,926 pounds per household per year of solid waste. Other municipalities that have gone pay-as-you-throw that are drop-offs, the average across the state is actually 1,066 pounds. And what that transitions into is dollars of savings, because trash disposal is one of the higher things on your line items when it does come to expenses. Your current fee structure is not going to be sustainable for very much longer. The rates will eventually go up here probably pretty quickly, because trash disposal rates are going up. In recycling markets, you really can't rely on too heavily because it's a commodity driven market. So they do go up and down quite a bit. We're just coming down from some record all-time highs over the last couple of months. And they've gone down, I believe, right around 40 to 45% over the last couple of months. So that's something we definitely want to take into consideration. Your current system, you've got one payment that you make per year, and you could be dropping off 1 bag a week. Your neighbors could be dropping off 10 bags a week. It's not very fair, because that person that's dropping off 1 bag a week is subsidizing the trash for the other individual that's doing 10 bags a week or more. In some cases, that's per day. So it's one of those systems where pay-as-you-throw is going to even the playing field across all of your residents, and you're only going to pay for what you dispose of. What is pay-as-you-throw? Pay-as-you-throw is a unit-based pricing, just like a utility. If you pay for electricity based on what you use, you pay for water based on what you use. This is set up the same way. You're going to pay to get rid of your own trash that you generate. What this signals to the residents is the true cost of solid waste disposal. This is not a tax. There's no way this is a tax. The cost of the bag is the actual cost of disposal to take that material and move it to a transfer station, a disposal site, a landfill. That's what the cost is. The town's not making any money on this. So this is strictly a pass-through. And it creates a really good financial incentive to reduce, reuse, and recycle more and waste less. And what I mean by that is, and this has been proven in pretty darn near 180 communities across Massachusetts, is that when you start looking at the cost of what it takes to get rid of 1 bag of trash, you really look at what's in there. And when you really get down to it, 30 to 40% of what's going in your trash, you can divert into the recycling bin. So that's really what it's trying to do, is take the material out of the trash that's good and divertible and put that in the recycling bin. So I did touch on this a little bit. Well, why is pay-as-you-throw important? Well, the very first thing is everyone pays their fair share. So you don't pay for your neighbors that throw more away than you do. And this goes into some of the stories I'm hearing there at the transfer station, where some people are coming in with a pickup truck and they've got 10 to 15 bags of trash on there, and they're throwing stuff out. And then you go in there and you're throwing away 1 bag of trash. Well, you just paid for all of that person's trash. You're only paying for what you generate, and you're rewarded for diverting more quality material into the recycling bins. Now, first things first, I should preface this by saying Plympton's doing a very good job with their program. They really are. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Um, when I took a tour of the transfer station there, first of all, I only thought it was like 3 years old, and it turns out it's 10 years old. You guys take very good care of your stuff there, and it shows, which is really something to be proud of. And two, there is a lot of material going in the recycling bins. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to curb the people that are really taking advantage of the rest of the residents there. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prevent that from happening. The state's got some pretty hefty goals coming up here. Every 10 years, we work on something called the Solid Waste Master Plan. And what that is, I've got a link there if anybody would like to take a look at it. It's under mass.gov Solid Waste Master Plan. If you Google it, it's probably a lot easier to find. Our goal is to reduce the solid waste coming out of the state by 30% by 2030. And we're we're moving that direction pretty quickly. So, and then by 90% decrease by 2050. And we need everyone's help. Unfortunately, we don't have any more landfill space left. They're done. We don't have any more. I think there's 3 or 4 active landfills in the state of Massachusetts. One is for ash that's born, and the other ones did not get extensions. So outside of rail haul, which is really expensive, we're not gonna have any options. And the other side of that is that Maine, where we used to take a lot of our trash, just recently within the last couple of months said no more. They're not accepting Massachusetts trash anymore. So we've lost that resource. The last thing is pay as you throw is a waste reduction strategy that Mass DEP has prioritized in the Solid Waste Master Plan, or the SWMP. We use a lot of acronyms. So PAYT is pay as you throw, Solid Waste Master Plan, SWMP. Took me a while to figure that stuff out, but that's just part of it. Let's see. But once again, it's a really well-written plan. It takes a couple of years to write, and then they put it into effect. If you do get a chance to take a look at it, it is pretty important stuff. All right, how does pay as you throw work? What I've got here is I've got a couple of pictures, and the one on the top is a 15-gallon bag. That's the small bag that we're talking about. The one on the bottom is the 33 gallon or 30 gallon. It's pretty close to 30, a little bit more, but those are 2 bag sizes. And then the next slide, I've got a video that shows them in better detail. But how it works is that you've got two to three costs that you're really trying to cover within a very small budget. And the first one is your fixed cost, which is the operating of your transfer station. That's a fixed cost. You know what the labor is going to be, you know what it takes to run that thing. You've got administration fees on there, Colleen doing all of her hard work, and the rest of the guys down there. And so what we're talking about is you need to cover those costs, you have an annual fee, and that's going to be what we've calculated so far. And this is not set in stone. It's something that definitely needs to be discussed. But what we've kind of come to the conclusion of is that a $45 a year fee for the seniors and a $65 a year fee for all other residents would cover those basic fixed costs of your transfer station. So we've got that set aside. So some of the expenses are taken care of. Now, what happens to disposal and hauling? That's a whole nother side. The bags, they're going to cost anywhere between $1.50 for a small bag to $2.50 to a large bag. And we're still finalizing those minor details. Once again, the prices are not set in stone. They are movable, but the cost of the bag covers the hauling and the disposal fee. And when you're talking, everything when it comes to trash is based on weight. So there's a couple reasons why the bags are priced the way they are. And I know this is a big fear on people. It's like, well, wait a second, I'm buying a bag for 10 cents in bulk. Why am I being charged $2.50 for a large bag or even $1.50 for a small one? You're paying that because you're paying for the hauling, you're paying for the disposal of that trash. And you're also paying for the cost of the bag, which runs for a large bag. It's right around 40 cents a bag just to make the bag. The bags are set to break at a certain weight. And that's because your trash is based on weight. So if you go down to CMAS and get rid of your trash, it's going to be about $104 to $108 per ton to get rid of that material. We take that number, we break it down by the pound, and we figure out exactly what the costs are that are incorporated into that bag. Once again, the bags only cover those 2 expenses. That's it. So once we have the numbers from the hauling company for the hauling charges, that's very easy to get. We do an RFP, we get that number. You guys already have it too, because you've already been using Waste Management. And then we know what your disposal costs are, at least the forecasted ones over the last number of years, because you guys keep track of that information very well. So we can take all of that information, incorporate it into the cost of the bag, and that's exactly what it costs to get rid of that bag. And the other big thing is, where do we buy the bags? How do we get those? Do we go to the DPW? Do we go to highway? Do we go to the transfer station? In this case, we want to make it as simple as possible. And so does the bag company, which, you know, that vendor is very good at the process of getting those bags out to the residents. So the way it works is that they will deliver them to the local retail stores that you're already going to. Stop and Shop, Market Basket, Walmart, the gas station there, which I think is a Shell now. It used to be Plympton Gas back. I missed that one, but it, you know, Plympton Gas, they'll take the bags. You can buy the bags there. So when you fill up your car, so wherever you're going anyway, you're going to be able to get the bags. The only thing that might be an issue is time. You just want to make sure you've got, you go to those establishments during regular business hours, because typically at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, when a lot of people think of the trash, is they're closed. So that's the only big caveat there. It's a really minor one, but you just want to make sure you go there during regular business hours. All right, bag sizes. So this is a video that I was talking about. I'm going to hit the play button in a second, but you'll see that the large 33 gallon is 33 inches by 35. Small is 24 by 28. The small bag is typically a kitchen bag. In the market, when I get my bags, we don't have pay as you throw where I live. I really wish we did, because I'd save a fortune. But I go through, just an example, I've got 3 adults, a 9-year-old, and a dog in my household. And I go through one small bag every 2 to 3 weeks. You know, I can push it to 3 weeks pretty easily, but that's typically what I get rid of. And I'm not the world's best recycler. My better half is. So I'm going to push this button real quick so you can kind of see the sizes of the bags.
The bags will be available in 2 sizes, 33 gallons along with a 15-gallon size. The 15-gallon would fit perfectly in a kitchen-sized trash container. Both style bags have drawstring closure, are tougher than normal bags, and are durable. Once you place your bottles, cans, paper, and cardboard in the recycling, you'll be pleasantly surprised at how much fits in one bag. The bags.
All right, moving on. Pay as you throw benefits. There are a lot of benefits to going pay as you throw. And I've touched on some of those earlier in this presentation, which was really leveling that playing field for everybody. You know, we want to make sure everyone's paying their fair share. So the other big part is reduction in waste disposal and all associated costs. Typically from day one, you can see anywhere between a 20 to a 50% decrease in your solid waste. And that being one of the bigger, larger line items on your solid waste budget, reducing that number is huge. So you're going to see a large decrease in your solid waste almost immediately, which is great, because you're going to save those costs at the transfer station, and hopefully that will transition into savings to the residents. Some of the reductions may occur from a variety of reasons. You know, more recycling and yard waste diversion, more donations of items like large furniture, reduction in illegal use of the current program, which I did touch on earlier with the truck that comes in there with like 20 bags, backyard composting, which I'd imagine a lot of you are already doing. And then there's other forms of waste and materials diversion, but there's swap sheds and some other stuff that we can help you guys with there at the transfer station. Bag distribution. I did touch on this a little bit, but the bag vendor that whoever you select, you know, once again, that's being worked out with the town, but whoever you select, they're going to warehouse the cases of bags. They'll ship to the retailers. They track the sales. They'll bill the retailers directly if you don't want to take that on. And there's some towns like Halifax, which they take the billing on themselves. And then they'll provide the town with a monthly report and a check. So it really alleviates a lot of that administrative costs if you do allow the bag company to take over that stuff. And it's one of those things I've been working with Halifax on, because Sue likes to do it for some reason, and it's not, it doesn't take a long time in Halifax. Is there another very small town, but she likes to do it. So challenges and solutions. And these are very valid challenges that we've come across in our time of doing this at DEP. So really the number one thing is the public perception is that that the fee is a tax. And once again, I can't reiterate this enough. It's not a tax. We've done a P&L, we've done a cost benefit analysis, we've done all of the stuff on our end, and I've helped Colleen with this, and we've gone through it step by step over a period of weeks. This isn't like an overnight thing, to really figure out what those basic costs are that we need to cover when it comes to a sticker fee and the bag fee. And so really what the goal is to make the program revenue neutral by reducing the flat fee so much that it covers only the fixed cost, which is exactly what we're trying to do. And that's, I hope some of you have seen here just what I was talking about, that the senior sticker is going to be 45 and the other residents will be 65. That's a lot less than what you're paying right now for the sticker. And what I did touch upon was that cost is not sustainable. It's going to go up. Your disposal costs are going to go up on the next round of contracts. They have across the board, across the whole state over the last 3 years. There isn't anybody that got a better deal than they did the year prior from the last 3 years. All those costs are going up. So your sticker fee will go up again unless we do something drastic. And the unit-based fees cover the variable cost, which is the disposal. Another very viable challenge is the adverse effects on low-income households. And the way you deal with that is hardship waivers or low rates for low-income senior citizens, veterans. That $45 fee for seniors could definitely go for low-income too, and you're still going to cover the basic costs of your transfer station. One of the big things that does come up in most of these meetings is the increase in illegal dumping. This is not just an issue in your town or neighboring towns. This is an issue across the state. There is a lot of illegal dumping going on. As a matter of fact, I ran a little 1 hour session, a Zoom session back about a year and a half ago, and we talked about illegal dumping. And in the town of Hingham, someone had dropped an entire commercial fishing dock off at the town dumpster, which they weren't supposed to do, obviously. So the legal dumping is going to happen regardless if you have pay as you throw or not. It's really how you deal with it on the end, on the back end is what happens, is how you curb that. And it's the education and kind of cracking down a little bit. However, with pay as you throw, and all of the studies in Massachusetts and nationwide show there's been no difference in illegal dumping. It doesn't increase because of pay as you throw. You're still going to get it. It's not going to go up. It might not go down. It might go down. Who knows? But in all of the studies that we've done, that we've seen, and most of them are independent with the municipalities that do them themselves, there's no difference. And another challenge is higher administrative costs. This program for a drop off like yours is really not going to add to those costs. It should help alleviate some of the costs because you are covering all your costs. And that's one thing that you don't have right now. You've got a single sticker price that doesn't really cover the full cost of doing business to your residents. So with pay as you throw, you're going to cover your costs. You absolutely are going to cover all your costs. If not, we make an adjustment, $1 here, $5 there. All that stuff will cover all of those basic expenses. Overall, it should be a savings for everybody. Something that we always like pushing to is programs that complement pay as you throw, but they don't just complement pay as you throw, they complement a lot of different programs. And a lot of my munis are already doing this. So organics or food waste collections. So one of the biggest parts of the solid waste, like when you break it down into percentages, the highest percentage that's in there is food waste. And so there's a number of companies that are now trying to get down into the South Shore, which we've been really trying to help, to a certain extent, but they're really trying to push down into my district. And they're on the Cape, they're up on the north, they're in the Northeast, they're everywhere else, but they've been having some issues pushing into the Southeast. And I think that's going to change here in the near future. However, they're offering some really neat solutions that we didn't have before. Excuse me. Before, what we had were companies that were trying to find a huge plot of land and they wanted to bring the food waste in there and compost it with yard waste. What we're seeing now is that they want to drop toters off, and the residents will bring in their food waste, drop them off in the toters, and they'll service those once or twice a week, depending on what your needs are. And then they take it all in a truck and they bring it to their facility, wherever that is. These costs typically offset or are cost neutral in a program like Pay As You Throw. So keep in mind, whatever you take out of the trash, which is costing you $104, $107 a ton, and if it's costing you maybe 80 or 90 bucks a ton to move it somewhere else, you're still saving money. So not only that, but you're also getting that material out. If your trash is going to I believe it's going to CMAS, which is a combustion facility, they don't even want food waste. They want all that organic material out because it's wet and it's heavy and it costs them a lot of money to burn it because it's wet. They want dry material to burn, not wet material. And not only that, but pulling the organics out and composting it is way better for the environment. We would rather see that as good soil, or they can take it to another facility that can turn it into energy. You guys are already doing the bulky item collection there. I believe you have a fee to a number of items. That's also a good deterrent. You don't want the fee to be too high, but you want it to be right there so people are comfortable with it. There's also things like swap events and library of things, which I just heard that your library there is actually going to be doing a library of things, which is a great program. There's a lot of those in the across the state right now. And I've got a picture here that shows you kind of some of the items what most library things have. They've got Lego sets and metal detectors, ukuleles, computers, the printers. Sometimes they have yard tools. And the other thing that's really cool is swap sheds, which you'll see in the top picture, which is basically a place where residents can bring in items that they don't use anymore, but maybe someone else can. You got suitcases, maybe someone can fix a wheel in a suitcase, so they'll drop it off there and someone else will pick it up, they'll fix it, and they'll use it for another 5 or 6 years. Lawn chairs and pots and pans. You see a lot of dishes and plates and really fun stuff. I do like a swap shed. They do take some resources to make sure they run properly, but they're pretty good. I was asked to plug our recyclesmartma.org website. The state put a lot of energy, effort, and time into this, and this is a website where you can use the Recyclopedia if you type in your product that you're interested in and seeing if it's recyclable. If it's a number 5 plastic container, you can put in food container and it'll spit out exactly what you're supposed to do with it, whether it goes in the trash or the recycling bin. So these are also avenues where if we've got the perfect recycler among us, right? So this person is recycling 150% of their stuff, as much as they can possibly do, but they've got this one item and they're not quite sure about it. They can actually look it up on Recycle Smart MA and find out if that really is recyclable. And there are things that might surprise you. I held a meeting there at town hall last Tuesday, and I asked across the board, what do you do with pizza boxes? And some of the people said, oh, you throw it away because of the grease. Some people said you empty the food out and put it in the recycling bin regardless of grease. Well, the correct answer is the grease doesn't make a difference. It's the food that makes a difference. So take the box, turn it inside out, throw everything in the trash. That's food, and then put the box in the recycling bin because that is material that they do want. That's good. It's good fiber and good cardboard. Another acronym you might hear besides Pay As You Throw is Save Money and Reduce Trash, or SMART, S-M-A-R-T. What you'll see from results is residents reduce their waste, the town pays less for disposal, the state generates less trash. State goal is 30% once again by 2030. Responsibility. Residents' actions determine how much they pay. It's as simple as that. If you're going to throw a lot out, you're going to pay more. If you want to divert as much as you can, you're going to pay less. Big thing is right messaging. It aligns the financial incentives with actual costs, reflecting savings from recycling, waste reduction, donations, and composting. And only that, but Pay As You Throw really aligns with Plympton being a green community. It's something we really want to start, pushing there, because you guys do have a fantastic transfer station. You're running it really well. I would love to see you just take that next step. And if there's any questions, you can ask now. If you want to send me an email, there's my email address. I can also answer through email. But whoever's got questions, if you want to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask, I'll try to get you the answer.
Todd, it's Christine Joy. Question for you.
Sure.
So the biggest change we're going to see is just the product that goes in the compactors. I mean, we're still going to have all of the recycling that we currently have, but it'll just be what we throw in the compactor has to be in those bags.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. Yep. It's basically a different colored bag. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, Todd.
Hi.
Hi, this is Dave. Question, again, now I was looking through your pricing on the bags. I know it's adjustable. It's not, maybe not fixed at this point, but there are two size bags. One would be a 30 gallon, or was it 33?
So it's really a 33. So that's
33. Okay. And the smaller one, the kitchen size is, what was that?
that's a 15.
15. Okay, that makes sense. So the pricing would be twice as much for the 30 as the 15. Is that how it would work? Or
No,
would the incentive to be to use the 30 instead? I wasn't sure of the pricing.
well, the incentive is going to be to use as the least amount of trash as possible. So to give you an example, you know, I use a kitchen bag. I think they're 13 gallons is what I get at the store, you know, every 2 to 3 weeks is really how long it takes me to fill it. And we've got a family of, you know, 3 adults and a child. If I were to get a 33 gallon bag, that would take me a little while to fill up, to be honest. They are pretty big. You know, it's half the size of a contractor bag. I think those are close to 60. So, you know, the incentive is not necessarily to buy the bigger bag because it's cheaper. It's really to reduce your trash. And really where the incentive would be to reduce the trips to the transfer station, right? So, you know, it's, I guess when you look at the dollars per gallon, right? It's a better bang for your buck to do a 33 gallon, but you're making less trips to the dump.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
John Trainer.
Hi, John. How you doing?
I just want I was at last week's meeting, so a couple of numbers. I thought the average per household for pounds trash was 1,300, and I thought you quoted a different number tonight.
I did, and that's because I got brand new numbers this morning.
So the new number is what again?
It is 1,000.
1900.
I didn't hear him.
I'll go back. Yeah, so those numbers were just published this morning. It's 1,066 is the average from 2021. Numbers I did
Wow.
have from 2020.
That's quite a reduction.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
cool. Yeah.
The second part, I also thought that the cost per ton that we were paying was around $190 for trash.
No,
Did I
it's not
hear?
190.
No?
No, it's closer to, if Colleen's still here, she can maybe correct me on that. I thought it was 106 or 104, something like that.
Okay. And I thought I heard that for plastic and bottles, it was around 90, and I think there's a different number now.
So that fluctuates.
Sure, but you know,
Let me
as of what's going on lately.
stop that real quick. Let me see. So I just got a latest average market value calculation worksheet. Plastic. HDPE. Well, let's start with PET because that's really kind of the top there. So PET baled picked up is $185 a ton rebate. HDPE natural baled and picked up is $950 per ton. HDPE colored is $135.
I'm having trouble because I don't understand what that means.
So these are different types of plastic, and I just got the latest market values.
And
So
they're paying us.
that's what they're supposed to be. Yeah, but it's, keep in mind with the, actually, you know what? I'll just show you this sheet. Let me share my screen real quick because this is an important thing to know.
And maybe so I don't get off on a tangent.
Yeah,
The reason I was doing this was when I ran the numbers that you had last Tuesday, it looked like we could save $22,000 right off the top, which is a significant amount compared to what we spend for the transfer station.
correct.
And I just want to make sure as we talk to residents that I have the up-to-date numbers, so I
Yeah.
can't be, you know, obviously.
And they do change from time to time.
Sure, I understand that.
Presentation together last week, it was one thing, and this week they changed. So I wanted to make sure that you guys had the latest numbers. This is what I've got up right now. Is it's called the average market value calculation worksheet. And what happens with this thing is this is the sheet that the MRFs, the material recovery facilities that so Waste Management takes all your material to the Avon MRF, right? And what they do is they separate and sort all this stuff. Now, this is just an average across the state. This is not your town specifically. Okay, so
Okay.
this is the material they have coming in. And what it shows is the type of material, right? So that's this first column. And then the recyclingmarkets.net index, that's the market index rate or type of material. And the index value is the next column, percentage by weight, which that's a very important number because plastic's going to be lighter than, say, metal or glass, right?
Yep.
And then the average market value per ton, which is based on that percentage in that load. You guys are separating certain materials, right? So you don't have single stream per se, which this would be based off of. So your markets are going to be a little bit different, but they're still, the pricing is going to be pretty close to this.
Okay.
So when they're coming up with the numbers on the rebates or what they're going to pay you for recycling or what you're going to pay for recycling, if you go both ways, this is the kind of sheet that they're going to use on their end. So for example, mixed paper really took a dump over the last 3 months. Right now you're paying $1.50 a ton to get rid of it. 3 months
Okay.
ago, they were paying you $60 a ton to take it.
Wow.
So that's been a big swing. So that's going to be a red in this column because now you're paying to get rid of it. Newsprint is really dead. There's not a lot of newsprint out there. So that's not even in there. Cardboard really went down a lot. That was at 160 a couple months ago. Now it's down to 37. Glass is always high because we are very limited on glass processors in the state of Massachusetts. In our region, I think we've got 2. So 3 now maybe with Strategic coming back. But that's going to be one of the highest expenses. Not only that, but it's also one of the heavier materials in there, which is glass.
Mhm.
There are avenues for savings on that. If you pull the glass out and separate that and do a separate load of just glass, there's a company right down the street in Middleborough that will take it for, I think it's $40 a ton. So there's some savings there. But really the plastics is what you're asking about. So those are these categories right here. So what you're looking at is what they're getting paid is $185 a ton for PET. HDP is $950. Polypropylene, which are your plastic containers, the food containers that you get at restaurants, that's $110. That actually went down quite a bit. That was closer to like $400 a few months ago. Mixed plastics, that really, really went down. That was at an all-time high. Now, mixed plastics are the 3 through 7s. If you turn the plastic over and you look at the little recycling Mobius symbol, there'll be a number in there. That's actually the type of plastic. So 1 through 7, and 7 is an other plastic, which is not really recyclable. It's just garbage. If it's a 7, you really want to throw that in the trash because there's really no value. And that really brings the value down of the load, which is something that they really don't want. But the mixed plastics 3 through 7, which was really high a couple months ago, was well over $100, is at 30 right now. So they're still getting some money back on that. Aluminum cans are always high. Aluminum's always in demand. Steel's pretty high right now. And then there's always a category for contamination. There's always going to be contamination in a load. It's really rare when you see a perfect load. So you're always going to have some form of plastic in there, that like a plastic bag or plastic wrapping to your water bottles. You could have, it's just various trash items. Food waste which is a big issue in glass bottles, or even plastic bottles, like the peanut butter. You want to try and get that out of there. So that contamination rate that they base it off of is 10%. Yours might be lower than that because you've got some pretty good controls at the transfer station, where curbside is a lot higher compared to drop-offs. However, when you mix all of those numbers together and all the percentages, what you get here is you get a rebate of $27.95 a ton. So that 1 ton load that went into, let's just say Avon, well, it'd probably be closer to 10 tons because they don't like taking 1 ton, but let's just say it's 1 ton to keep it simple. Those are your percentages. So 38% is mixed paper, 19% is cardboard, 18% glass, and so on. So that rebate would be $27.95. However, that's not what you're going to get. You're not going to get a check for $27 a ton. What you're going to get is a gate rate going to Avon. And that gate rate, just to drop off the material on their tipping scale floor, is right around $95 a ton. So right now, right off the bat, you're dumping your recycling on the tipping floor at $95 a ton, but the rebate's $27.95. So what they do is they take that $27.95 off that $95 tipping fee, and that's what you're charged.
Okay. So that would tell me that if I take the 28, I'm just rounding off the 95, it's costing us $67 if we can get it out of the trash and into the recycle.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're paying 106 for the trash. So that's a fair savings. Basically, that's $40 a ton for everything we move out of trash over to the other side.
Correct.
And and since the average would go down significantly on the household trash, it's got to be at least the 22,000 I came up with, probably more.
Probably more. Yeah. It's quite a substantial savings when you really dive deep into it and look at the numbers. But really what it breaks down to is you just want to cover your costs. That's all you're trying to do. And the less cost you have by saving as much as you can is going to save the residents. I like your numbers, by the way, John. That's great.
From my side, it's kind of it's a four-legged stool.
Mhm.
First of all, economically, there's a significant cost recovery that we could do. Second is it's fairer, as you just mentioned, because right now anybody who throws one bag away is paying for the person who throws a pickup truck worth away.
Yeah.
It's environmentally cleaner, which as a green community, we've tried to make strides in that area. And the fourth one is we keep hearing anecdotally about, somebody buying a sticker, say a senior citizen, buying a second sticker for $10 and giving it to a relative in another household, or construction equipment coming in a bag that we can't tell.
Yeah.
And legally we can't open. So I think those are the four pieces that say this is a great program, but I also know that there's a lot of negativity that we have to turn around out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it behooves us to make sure that we go out and address our people, our residents, have SADD programs, whatever we think will bring them in. Between the ones you've done, we probably educated about 40 people, I'm guessing 30 to 40 people.
Yeah.
And we really need 300 people or 400 because that will swing it, I think.
Yeah. Thank you for saying all that. I appreciate that. You really put a lot of thought into that, and I'm glad I was able to lay this out in a way that made it understandable, because what everyone, and on my side, what I hear is just the fear of the unknown, and it's the fear of something different, because nobody likes change, and Plympton's been doing this the same way forever. So anytime you want to change something, it's that fear, and it's what are we getting ourselves into? But really, when it boils down to it, it's very simple. All you're doing is switching the color of the bag. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more, but you're also going to be paying less overall. And it's really about the savings. It's those four things, that four-legged stool that you really passionately talked about. So I appreciate that.
One of the things that comes across when I ask people, because when they say they're against it, I say, articulate to me what piece of. And I think one of the things is, unfortunately, we are so polarized. There is this issue of it's big government forcing something on us.
Yep.
And, if you can get beyond that, it just makes sense.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I do have a question.
Perfect.
Please go right ahead, sir.
I was wondering about waste oil deposit, because we used to have that. Now they have done away with it due to contamination. And also, I believe all of our aluminum cans are donated to the school, which is great. But
yeah.
So I was curious about that as well.
Okay, so waste oil, I really can't talk about that because I don't know what the program is. Maybe Colleen, you can chime in on that.
Yeah, Todd, we did have the program. We had Dennison Lubricants collecting it for us. And the price went up dramatically for them to collect it. And it, for people who buy the oil, wherever they buy it, they can return it for nothing. So we stopped the program, and we are not going to be implementing it again because it's too expensive.
Thank you, Colleen.
Todd, first I want to say thank you for putting this information together. Select body, thank you very much for organizing this so we can attend. A couple questions. As you went through your price list, you called out as staggering on plastic and other material.
Mhm.
So, and I know there were ballpark numbers, but for us to believe long-term that $45 or $65 for the stickers would cover our recycling, it's short-sighted. It will be $100, it will be $125 in at least 5 to 7 years. So we're trading off one cost. It's not going to go away. It's going to get bigger.
Mhm.
I think the second thing is, question that I asked is, are there opportunities for us as a town to do a better job with taking recycling in? And via incentives. I mean, I laughed about the pizza box because there's a sign at the cardboard that says, you can't put a pizza box in here. And that was the whole big deal. You couldn't throw away pizza boxes for the first half of the year.
I noticed that sign too, and I brought that up with Colleen that is actually acceptable. So hopefully the new sign will be there soon.
Thank you. The other question that I have is, it was a dramatic increase of 1,300 to 1,900 pounds per household per year.
Yeah.
What I would personally take 21 out of the mix, because if my recollection is correct, for a good portion of the year, the recycling was closed due to COVID, that they didn't want to take any of the plastics or cardboards in because of COVID. So what we did was we put that into our trash,
Mhm.
drove up our poundage to 1,900.
Yeah.
And now we have to unteach people what we taught them to do.
Yeah. Okay. That I was unaware of. So I didn't know that happened in Plympton. None of my other towns had issues getting rid of materials. So that's
Todd, I don't think that's 100% correct.
okay.
Well,
I
can you,
wouldn't say it was all 52 weeks a year, but I do specifically remember.
all right, I can't hear you.
I do agree.
Art's gonna come on. I just have to figure, and he can explain it to you. Let me see your phone.
Oh, someone's phone is too close to the other one, I think.
Hello, Todd.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Art Moran.
Yeah.
I'd like to address that last comment because through the COVID situation, I was chairman of the Board of Health also. And we closed for a couple of days because everybody happened to be exposed at the transfer station. We never closed the recycling. We closed the Dennett School can collection thing during recycling because there's one narrow corridor down the center of that. And we felt that would be too close a proximity for people to be in there. We needed to keep 6-foot separation, which we couldn't do in that particular container. But that was just for the Dennett School returnables. Everything else was open. We took precautions and set up roped off areas. So none of that, if anything went into the waste stream, it was just because residents were throwing it in as they continue to do today. Nothing went, and as you know, with all of the figures that we went through for the 3-year period, we threw out the COVID year. That was not included in our calculations because it would have skewed the numbers. So that's completely false.
Okay. Thank you, Art.
I won't debate it. Then my last question is, or statement, this is more for the town. Specifically in the documentation around getting a transfer sticker, it says that commercial dumping is not allowed. However, I've been told, and I have seen contractors in commercial vehicles with kitchen cabinet cardboard and other things, refrigerator cardboards from plumbers, going into the trash compactors as opposed to the cardboard recycling. So it's unfair to ask Art or Harry or others to be the trash police, but there needs to be some way to curtail commercial companies from, and I know they're small businesses, I get it, but if you're going to throw away all the cardboard from a kitchen install, it should not go into the trash. So how do we enforce that? And I think that's a question for the town.
Todd,
Yeah,
it's Art again. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Again, that is not correct. If someone puts in a new kitchen, and we had, I can think of one individual that I personally know, they had a disaster in their house. I think the pipes let go or something. They had to put in a whole new kitchen, and they came in with cardboard, but they put in their new kitchen. So, you know, that's cardboard, but it's recycled. I will tell you that we do catch people. We had one resident who was emptying the trash from the barrels at Walmart in Halifax. We caught him and told him to leave, and he left. We do catch contractors. We've turned them away. So to the best of our knowledge, that is not happening. So that's an unfair statement. We work very diligently at keeping it down to residential trash. We've also caught people from other communities trying to dump. We turn them away. So, you know, to make erroneous statements like that, I take umbrage at that, because
Well,
the people at the transfer station are very hard at it.
I apologize, Art, for what my eyes have seen. I won't debate it with you in a public setting like this, but I have I've physically seen it happen.
You
But
know,
they're
I
all-
think one of the things is that this is the reason for the bag program. Obviously, if we have a bag program, it's going to have to be in an orange bag or it doesn't go in.
Really?
That's true, John.
Really?
Well, isn't that the
That's
just
the program.
of the bag program, that you
Correct.
what goes in the trash will be in a
A town bag.
obnoxiously colored bag, so that the attendants can look at it and say, yeah. Now, we don't know what's in that. And if somebody who's a contractor started buying all the bags and putting their stuff in it, still going to be hard to control, but at least they'll be paying for the bags.
They'll be covering the cost of disposal and hauling.
Right.
And they have to have a sticker to get in anyway, so they'll be covering the cost of the transfer station.
So I guess let's ask a different question. Is this a foregone conclusion and you just want to educate the residents that why you're doing it and you've already decided to do it?
Speaking for myself, we have not talked as a select board. So I don't know what my other two colleagues are thinking. And you can see where I'm coming from just on what I said tonight. I do think we need to do a good education program, because if there's feedback out there that I haven't heard, I'd really like to know about it before we vote it.
And I'll second that with education is key to a program like this.
So I guess Ms. Joy, Mr. Russo, is it a foregone conclusion in your mind?
I think I want to be careful here about open meeting
Yes.
law. We certainly don't want to be deliberating here.
I'm asking your opinion, not, this isn't an open meeting law, I'm asking your opinion.
Yeah, and I think probably it's not the right forum. Our selectmen meeting, November 7th, will be on the agenda, and as I understand it, it's possible that there'd be a vote at that time. But we look forward to a robust discussion at that time. This program is being recorded, and I'm thrilled that that'll be an opportunity for other citizens to get educated ahead of the November 7th meeting. And I look forward to a really robust discussion November 7th. And I think that'd be the opportunity for us, the selectmen, to fully share our views and debate and come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Mark. It's probably not, this is a workshop, so this is just education purposes, so.
And that's what I was going to say, Todd, is that, I'm here to learn more. We've been keeping up with this throughout as information has developed, but I just wanted to make sure that we had the most up-to-date information. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. If anybody else have any questions, or should we close this one down for tonight, and we can have a future discussion, more questions? Everyone's got my email address. They can always do that. Send me an email with any questions they have as well.
Todd, I'll just thank you. Your program last week, your program tonight was really informative, is really useful in all of us being able to make an informed decision. So we really appreciate your effort, and we appreciate the program, and we actually appreciate the grant money that may be part of this process. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
And thank you to all the residents who are in attendance with your excellent questions. So we appreciate you sharing your thoughts and concerns on this program. So thank you so much for coming and asking your good questions to Todd.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Night.
Todd. Take care.
All right.